You may be at that point in your lesson where you've been body dragging and bodydragging for a while and you're getting sick of it and you just want to ride, and you're saying to us, come on, just give me the board, let me try to ride. And we're going, well, no, you have to learn a few more things first. I'm going to talk about that because it's a really important thing, and we make a big focus on that in our school. One of the biggest mistakes that people make when they're teaching, when they're learning, is to put students on the board before they're ready. So I see it all the time still. Student goes out, they don't have good control of the kite, they make one attempt at the water start, they crash, they lose their board, and then it takes maybe 20 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever to go out, find the board, come back, untangle your lines, start all over again. What we're trying to get you to the point of doing is when you go out there, you need to be able to put your board on by yourself, do your water start, and if it doesn't go smooth, it should be no big drama to go back, get your board, put it on, and try again within the next half a minute or 15 seconds or whatever it takes. Because otherwise, your learning curve just lurches to a halt right there at that point of water start, where it takes way longer than it needs to for you to actually start riding. So you may be seeing this because you're at this point in your lesson. Not only in your lesson if we teach you from scratch, but if you come to us and you've taken lessons somewhere before, we're going to make sure that before you start to ride, yes, you know how to launch your kite. Yes, you know how to change the tuning. You have a good awareness of what's happening around you and a good knowledge of your kite. We have a tool that we call the minimum skills checklist. I'm going to talk about the minimum skills checklist and a little bit about the Upwind Deke. These are what we call paying your dues. These are skills that need to be in place before you start to water starts. This is what you're working towards in your body dragging. If you're able to do this, it tells us that you're ready to get a bit longer lines, to start tuning in on that power stroke, and to start your riding. I've broken down the minimum skills checklist in a different video, and I'm going to show it to you right now. So have a look at this. This is a minimum skills check that I give people who want to rent a board or want to practice riding. If they can do this, it takes about 3 minutes, great, we can move on to the next thing. If they can't, okay, we have some things to work on. I'm gonna say, go ahead and connect the lines to your kite, launch your kite, grab your board, go out, ditch your board, show me some power strokes, let go of the bar, let the kite fall, relaunch the kite, go back, get your board, and come back at the same spot where you left from. So I'll draw a line in the beach. That's easily measurable. They either make it back there or they don't. And while they're out there, you can look for all these things. Does he go downwind and keep his line slack to start the launch procedure? Is he attaching his safety line only? Is he pulling on the center lines with his bottom hand and holding the bar with the top hand? Is he keeping tension in the front lines while walking upwind? Is he communicating with his helper? Does he find the edge of the window and check the front and back line tension before hooking in? Does he keep tension in the front lines, and does he check the back line tension as he's getting into final position? Does he do a 360-degree check before launching? Is there a clearly visible thumbs up? As soon as the kite is launched, does he move directly towards the water? Has he placed his board in his path of travel on the way to the water? Is he walking into the water in a slightly upwind direction to keep tension on the front lines? Is he holding his board above the waves as he walks out? Once he gets into deep enough water, does he shift directly from walking into upwind body dragging without losing tension in the front lines? As he body drags, is his body in the correct position on its side with the hook pointed at the kite and the shoulder at the sky? Is he edging with the board? Can he maintain stable body position even as the wave goes over him? Does he keep the kite at 2 o'clock until he arrives past the shore break zone and in deep enough water? After releasing the board, do you see effective power strokes, sheeting in for a fast turn, sheeting out to accelerate, and then back in again? When the kite crashes, does he let go of the bar and do a 360-degree check? Is he able to relaunch the kite? As soon as the kite is launched, does he put it right to 2 o'clock and start body dragging immediately? Is he scanning around for the board and for other kiters as he body drags upwind? Does he do a shoulder check before changing directions? Can he pass the kite from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock without getting downwinded? Is he keeping his bottom arm extended in the water until the top hand brings the kite past 12 o'clock? Is he using both hands to stabilize the kite at 10 o'clock before getting into the upwind body drag position again? When he changes directions, does he ditch the board, continue 2 or 3 meters, then turn it and catch the board again on the way back? On the way back in, does he continue edging to stay upwind, to keep tension on the lines? Does he look behind him for approaching waves as he comes in? Does he approach the beach with the kite low so the helper can catch it? Does he unhook as soon as the kite is caught? And did he arrive at least at the same place he launched or a little upwind? Okay, so if your student comes back to the start point with the board in their hand, great. If your student does not come back with the board in his hand to the start point, you've just been given on a silver platter your next 35, 40 lesson points. Because if they don't come back, it's going to be one of those things, or maybe something else that you have on your list. Also, the student can see very clearly for themselves whether they made it back to the start point or how far they ended up downwind. And you know 100% if they don't have all these skills in place, if they're not able to complete this task, they will struggle and waste time when they're trying to learn to ride. And notice, this is on 8-meter lines. There's no reason to have them on anything longer because we know trying to teach all these bits and pieces on longer line only takes longer and is more frustrating. Part of this is the ability to use your board to work your way upwind. We call this the Upwind Deke, and there's a lot of times where it comes in handy, and it's a basic skill that everyone should have in place before they start to ride. To be able to just avoid someone else and continue on to where you're going if somebody's in your way. And it looks like this. This is your land here. This is a top view. The wind is blowing this way. You will be flying your kite in this direction. We're going to start on the land. Of course, we always start. We keep the kite at 10 or 2 o'clock. We body drag out a safe distance, and then we do our water start. So let's say you are blue. You're trying to body drag out. You want to get started, and there is another person right here. Either their kite is in the water, or maybe they're trying to do a water start. Maybe the instructor's with them because they don't know how to put the board on the feet by themselves. But these people are blocking your way, right? And you're stuck here. What do? I've seen this so many times. What often happens, you'll just sit here and float around and fluff around and put the kite to the top, and meanwhile both of you are slowly going downwind, and you've lost your chance altogether to do anything because this guy's blocking you. What we need to be able to do, and there's a few parts to this, this is the Upwind Deke. You're here, you need to be able to do a nice sharp little upwind body drag using your board without losing it, without losing ground on the turns, getting a good high upwind angle. And you might only have to do that for 2 or 3 runs. Notice we have very short runs. They don't need to be longer than 10 or 15 meters max. But during the time that you're doing this, this person that's in your way will be going downwind. Pretty soon they're here. This might take 10, 20, 30 seconds, a minute. Now they're down here, and you have a clear path out, and you can start to ride. There are lots of times when you need to do this. Here's another one. For example, say you've gone out and you're riding and you're riding and you're riding. We always try to set a downwind limit, and you're conscious of where it is so that you can come back to this spot, land your kite, walk back up to the top, and start your run again. In many locations, your downwind limit might be decided for you. This might be rocks or no beach or the end of the island or whatever. So if you're going down here and you have a problem and your kite is down, you've had to relaunch it, whatever it is, now you're here, you can't body drag back to the beach because there's no beach there. What are you going to do? You're Upwind Deke again. Just a little bit, work your way upwind, come back, now you're at the beach, you can walk up, you can start again. We had a student, this was classic, we had a student a few years ago, and she was really good at doing this. She was kind of riding, but not really going upwind. It was a difficult launch, big shore break, hard to get out, hard to get in. What she did was she just went out, did her rides, went downwind a little bit, did her upwind deke, body dragged using the board all the way to the top. Start here and just rode, and just continuously rode out, rode down, body dragged up, rode down, and skipped that whole kind of, which at the time was a bit of a scary part of coming back to the shore break and having to launch again in a tight, crowded beach. So this is an element of being in control of your kite and yourself, and knowing how to position yourself where you need to be. If you're not able to do this, you're not ready to water start, because you're gonna run into so many problems. And again, that's why we call this paying your dues. So in the video that you just saw on the minimum skills checklist, if you notice, we sent someone out. The point of the test is, can you do all that and come back at the same spot? So deking back upwind, or better yet, using strategy, working your way upwind first, and then doing your board stuff and your power strokes, and coming back to the same spot, right? The upwind deke is a part of that. So when you're going through all these steps and you're wondering why, this is why, and in the video there's all these, 15, 20 points that we go through in each lesson to get you to that point, so that when you do start the water start, you're ready for it and have a much better success rate. See you on the water. Say you've gone out, let me just erase you here. That was a permanent mark, damn.